So what was your question today? I forgot what it was through all the discussion and banter.
I was just asking what people watched this weekend because there was too much. I mean, that's something I'd like to get into today, is how golf can separate from this fray, because I think they're doing a bad job.
How could any sport separate from the fray right now?
I think it's quite easy, in fact, and I'd love to talk about it.
Whoa! Seriously, all right. You went to a hockey playoff game, which is shocking. The world's gonna be shocked to know that Don would go to a hockey playoff game, right? What day did you go?
It's true,
Saturday?
It happened. I don't remember what day it was.
I think it was Saturday.
Yeah,
I think it was Saturday. You saw the Hurricanes, right?
That's true.
So yesterday, you had stuff going on with the kids, right? Half the day, most of the day.
Well, I mean, on the weekends, yeah, it's nonstop.
I'm saying, what time did you? Let me rephrase the question. What time were you able to sit down in front of a TV yesterday? 3, 4?
About 2.
All right, 2. Earlier than I thought. Okay, by the time you settled in, there were Major League Baseball's games going on, but you hate Major League Baseball. You despise it with a passion. But you had...
Okay, that's simply not true, but all right.
It's not far off, though.
Putting words in my mouth early here, 43 minutes into segment 1.
It's not far off, is it, though, Dom? Fairness.
If I made a list of sports, baseball would not be near the top.
Oh, okay, fine. All right. So when you came home, you had NBA going on. They all mean something. The games all mean something now. You had NBA going on. You had hockey playoffs, which I realize you don't watch hockey unless it's live. That's fair enough. You've made that statement clear.
Also not true, but okay.
You had golf happening left and right. Right? Left and right.
Yeah.
You had all of these sports going on at the same time. I don't know if you watched any EPL or not. I don't think you got home in time to see too much of that. Maybe you saw a little bit of the Man United game. So here's my question.
No, I watched. The only thing I got to watch was some of the Nottingham Forest game that was on at like 7 in the morning.
Oh, you watched early. Okay.
That was like very, very early. Yeah.
Big day tomorrow for the EPL. A big day tomorrow. So my question is, with all of that, is when you settled in to your one TV and watched it with your one dying eye, what did you watch?
What I watched was a quadruple mixture of NBA playoff games, NHL hockey, Nelly Korda, and Scotty Scheffler. That's what I watched a mixture of.
What did you do, like any commercial?
That's not central to my complaint. I disagree. I honestly disagree with your assessment before you asked me that question, that how are they supposed to, like, let's take golf specifically. This is a golf show. How are they supposed to separate from the fray? That's very easy,
minutes.
Matt. Yeah. Oh, this is my fault now.
It's all your fault. You have to manage your producer.
Listen to me. Listen. So how is golf supposed to separate from the fray, right? They can. Here's how you do it. Okay? If golf is trying to make money as an entertainment property, then they need to be playing golf when other things are not going on.
Okay.
There are enough golf tournaments going on around the world every week, women and men, various tours globally, that there should be important golf taking place every day of the week. Full stop. The biggest complaint I have about yesterday, in a very general sense, is you've got Billy Horschel playing in Punta Cana, chasing his 8th victory, compelling story. Korn Ferry Tour event going on, a 15-year-old makes the cut, compelling story. Nelly Korda is going for 5 in a row on the LPGA Tour. Very, very compelling story, as we talked about. Historic story. Scotty Scheffler in a major. Scotty Scheffler is in a signature event, again, huge event, going for 1 million wins in a 10-day stretch or whatever. Again, incredibly compelling. All right? All of these events are, and there's a Champions Tour event I know it's towards the bottom of the list in terms of interest, but it's still happening. These things were all taking place at the same exact time. What are we doing? And there were some people complaining online, whoa, how am I supposed to watch this? You know, one's on Peacock, one's on Golf Channel, one's on CBS, one's over here, Well, what are they supposed to do? If you have 5 events happening at the exact same time and they're all quote unquote important, they can't, there's only so many channels, especially in the golf space, right? So to me, this is the simplest, stupidest answer ever. Okay? You play on different days. Like if you want Nelly Korda to be front and center story and ratings and access to network television and all these things are important, then you put them in a spot when there's nothing else happening, and that's where you have it finish.
And when is that?
It's a Tuesday night. It's whatever it is. That's when it happens.
But they're playing.
Let me ask you a very specific question. Yeah. What's more important, TV ratings or ticket sales?
Oh, it's
what generates
TV
more
ratings.
revenue?
It's all TV.
Okay, then you're going to get more people watching on a Tuesday night than you're going to get watching on a Saturday or Sunday
Tuesday
night when
night,
there's
but
9 million things happening at once.
You got to think about time zones. They could have gone in Texas. Theoretically, they could have gone to 8 p.m. Right, lighting wise, it's a little bit. It's a little risky in terms of a playoff.
I don't like your argument. Why are they playing on the same day, Matt? I'm not talking about
I understand what
RBC
you're saying.
And LPGA. I'm talking about all of them.
But you first of all have to start with gradients. So when you're talking about Korn Ferry Tour, why the Korn Ferry Tour finishes on a weekend, no idea. Makes no sense. Mike McCarley, who was then president of Golf Channel, I remember Mike saying to me that he's trying to get the tours to finish at different times. And the reason why he was doing it was so that Golf Channel could have live coverage on almost a daily basis. Okay, where's the downside? So I agree with you on that standpoint. The Korn Ferry Tour should be placed someplace else where it's not competing against the traffic and the eyeballs and the hearts and minds of fans from that standpoint. After that, you have to start to look at it. Yesterday's RBC Heritage. Now, this is a yesterday instead of a whole week discussion. It's a limited field. They knew that there was a risk of weather coming in, and they didn't move the tee times up so that it ended early. Right? Again, why? Don't know. Was it a mistake? If it's a mistake, just say it. Say, yeah, we missed that one. We should have. Sorry, my IFB cord is hanging out. Dom's going to yell at me.
Oh my gosh, we should take a break.
How we doing? We're going to go for the all-time opening segment. We're at 49 minutes right now. But how and why they didn't move that, I have no idea. That event should have ended before the storms even started. So it should have been over by about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which from a golfer's standpoint would have left the Chevron in a position where it was now unchallenged in terms of its position to finish, in terms of that, from that perspective. There's nothing I think you can do about PGA Tour champions, again, unless you're going to finish them on some other day, finish them on a Friday. But I'm always a little bit suspect when you have an event as they start to grow in stature. When you have an event that means something, okay, well, maybe we can finish on a Saturday instead of finishing on Sunday so we avoid some of the concluding championship traffic. But Saturday's television sports schedule was no less crowded than Sunday's was. Maybe it didn't mean as much because of the championships on the golf side, but when you're talking about playoff games, et cetera, regardless of the sport, there was a lot of traffic on Saturday. So I think what you're saying, Dom, is good, and I think it has merit. And I think that the PGA Tour missed the boat on not getting these players out early yesterday in order for them to finish on a Monday morning. That sound you heard is the thud. Who had the ability to watch that conclusion at 8 a.m. on a Monday morning? The vast majority of people are literally driving to work someplace or already there, and they're like, whatever, he's up by 4. We think he's going to win anyways. He's only got 3 holes left. That had to have been a bigger impact for the almighty TV ratings than what they would have gotten if they had sent them off early yesterday. Somebody made a big error. Somebody should be called into somebody's office and go, tell me how this happened.
I just feel like you're still thinking too much inside the box. Okay, if your goal is entertainment and ratings and revenue, right? If that's the goal, which I honestly, I think we would all like to believe it's not that. Yeah. I think we'd all like to believe it's not that, right? They're playing for other things and this, that, and the other. And all of those things may be true, but realistically, it's ratings, it's revenue, it's TV, right? I don't understand why you can't have things finishing on odd times and odd days in general. If you're chasing ratings,
it comes down to the philosophy of if you have the philosophy that if
there's
you
not
build
a lot
it,
of
they
stuff
will come.
finishing on Friday nights.
But you keep
If that
saying
means that
nights.
the
You're
LPGA
talking about
needs to get
sports.
stadium
unless
lights and finishing.
But
tournaments
hockey and
at 8
baseball and
p.m.
basketball can do that. Golf doesn't have lights.
Yeah, but it could. They've played a couple DP World Tour events. Like, this is something I think is interesting with Liv. I'm really shocked that when Liv launched, that they were doing Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I don't understand why they decided to finish on Sundays like everybody else. I think that was a mistake, especially when they're trying to be separate and they're trying to be like, here we are. I'm talking to you about golf just putting themselves in this confined box constantly. There's no reason why they can't. Why can't we finish all golf tournaments Sunday morning? Split up the nines. Finish your last 9 holes, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Sunday morning when everyone's eating breakfast and no one's going anywhere.
Well, they're not going to.
I mean, the Premier League mornings tried to section off that.
You could get done. You could get done in a full field event by about 2 p.m. if you really push it. Brunch.
Yeah, but I'm talking about splitting up the nines again, Matt.
That's
try
with
and think
all that.
outside the box. You're talking about
I'm just telling
entertainment.
you,
You're
that's
talking
as fast as
about
you can do it.
ratings.
Yeah.
No, 2 hours. Nine. No, if you're
2
playing 9 holes, you can get it done in 2.5 hours.
9 holes? What are you talking about?
I'm saying you move the conclusion of the events for you pick the tournament to
So
Saturday
have them play
or Sunday
27 on
morning early.
Saturday, they come back and finish with 9 on Sunday?
Correct.
Okay.
Matt, you need to think outside the box. If we're trying to get ratings, right? Can we compete against
Andrew, we're
NBA
putting a blood
finals,
test in
NBA
as part
playoffs?
of employment.
Listen, you can't compete with those. But the ratings for Premier League, right, on like a
Yes.
Sunday morning are not astronomical. They're not getting NBA playoff ratings. So you're not fighting against the NBA or something behemoth
But yeah, wait a
on a
minute. Now
Sunday
you're talking about a
afternoon.
global sport. Are you talking about USA ratings?
Yes, because that's what drives revenue is the U.S. ratings for golf, specifically for golf.
Okay.
The PGA
insulting
Tour doesn't
everybody
have a
for this.
rights deal internationally for $1 billion.
How do you know?
They have a rights deal in the United States for $1 billion.
Hold on a second.
What?
It's 55
Hey,
minutes
listen.
after the hour.
Yeah, you want to get over an hour? Let's go over an hour.
John's all juiced
I'm
up on
being dead serious.
creatine
I feel like
mushroom
you
drinks.
think what I'm talking about is crazy here. Why is what
No,
I'm
you're definitely
about
talking crazy.
so
You
far
just said
outside
you
the box?
wanted 27
Why?
holes on Saturday, 9 holes on Sunday.
Yes. No,
With
not
your
9
Mrs.
holes.
Doubtfire
No.
glasses and pointing fingers at us.
You're talking about. Listen. You're misinterpreting. Yes, it's 9 holes, but I'm talking about ratings and entertainment. I'm talking about the finish to an event being watched by a maximum amount of people that can watch
And you
it.
think the maximum amount of
Yesterday-
people is at 11 a.m. on a Sunday morning or Saturday?
I think earlier. I think if listen to me. I think they should finish on Tuesday nights. But you think there's no audience there. You think the audience is only on the weekend.
Wait a minute. You keep saying that, and I keep going back to it. Who finishes on a Tuesday night? Are you talking about golf?
No. I said these tournaments should finish in the evenings on weekdays. I said they need to finish. It's just iced tea. It's just regular iced tea. I said the tournaments should finish on weekdays. And you said nobody watches on weekdays. So if your argument is people only watch TV on the weekends, well, then you don't want tournaments finishing in the middle of playoff games and NFL games. They need to be moved to a time when those things aren't happening.
Yeah, I mean,
That's in the
don't
morning.
get me wrong. People will watch during the week. Our NCAA tournament coverage, men and women, just showed us that. But those are, again, prime time games. And golf has the occasion going into prime. That's why the USGA loves to take golf and take it out west. because now you've got the U.S. Open into prime time where the vast majority of the population of the country lives, which is on the eastern half of North America.
I just went to check in on the comments, and some of them are very funny. Dom drinking Long Island's early, LOL. Quote, let's move Liv to Norway in the summer so they can finish at 2 a.m., end quote. Dom, eventually.
Think out of the box.
Think out of the box, yeah. Well, you know, I stand by what I said.
Yes, and I'm sure you do.
It makes no sense for all these things to be finishing at the same time on the same day. It's
well,
stupid.
That's a
it needs
different
to be
thing than the way you try to describe
No, it's
it.
not.
The concept of, can we spread some things around a little bit? Thank you very much. That makes sense. Everyone's on board with that, and it's okay. And you can take events like Corn Ferry Tour and move them to
Well, no,
the middle
hold on
of
a
the
second.
week.
Hold on a second.
How much is that going to change ratings?
Before we go,
wait a minute.
Let's make this very Let's make this very simple. Very simple. Yeah. If you were going to maximize ratings for the RBC Heritage, absolute maximize.
You wouldn't finish
what days of
Monday
the week and what times of day would you air it?
As late as possible on a weekend.
But you can't. That's terrible. That is right up against the NBA and NHL playoffs.
I know.
How are you going to maximize ratings doing that? That's not going to maximize ratings.
Your other option is, I mean, you could get me into an argument and say, well, if you could push it tee times as late as possible, given light, on a Friday, then I'd be like, maybe, because are the working trends because you said the United States is the primary market that you're talking about here. Are working trends in the United States shifting so that by Friday afternoon, most people are like, take the tie off, I'm out of here by noontime? I don't know. Right? I don't know the answer to that. Remember when Mike Wan was commissioner of the LPGA, and I used to say this to him all the time, Mike, why do you go Thursday through Sunday and you're up against the PGA Tour on a Sunday afternoon? Why wouldn't you go Wednesday through Saturday? And he said, because the ratings spike enough on a Sunday that even when we're up against the primary, we still get better ratings than we have when we're alone on a Saturday.
In order for ratings to be maximized, in my opinion, women and men, doesn't matter. It must be on network television.
Oh, network.
It's got to be on
TV.
network.
Okay. All right.
So NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox. That's where you're going to get the most people watching, full stop. And that's got nothing to do with USA or Golf Channel or anything. That's just like, if I put anything on, anything, it could be a video of me drinking this iced tea. If that's on at 7 p.m. on Fox, it's going to get 1 million people. Minimum. Bare minimum. That's what happens. It's network.
Day drinking with Dom on NBC.
If you want to maximize ratings, Matt, my argument would be don't go up against other sports. If we got if the RBC Heritage finished on Tuesday night on network television, they would do better ratings.
Tom, it's a day game. There's nothing they can do.
Sure there is. Build lights. What do you mean there's nothing they can do?
All right. Day Drinking with Dom is a new show that's going to be featured on the network. The issue with the network, too, now you got to think about it from a network perspective because everyone's saying, like we saw yesterday with Chevron, it's a major championship. It should be network TV. But network TV is also their highest value. Right? So if you're a network, whatever network it is, you've got to find a way to maximize the value of what you do in order for you to keep doing what you do. So how do you maximize the value of PGA Tour events, of LPGA Tour events, of whatever tour you want to go to, Live that's on CW? How do you maximize that value? It has to come down to someone that's willing, a network pays a rights fee, someone that's willing to pay maximum dollars for advertising in said program to cover the rights fees. There's some events that a big network would do, and they call it a loss leader because it pulls in eyeballs so they can get you to watch something else. I understand that. I'm not sure if golf is a loss leader. So these networks look at it and go, It's all well and good that you guys have these great aspirations for the game of golf and where you want to place it, when you want to place it, and what leagues you want to have on the network because it maximizes ratings. What's in it for us? How do we cover our costs? Because it's incredibly expensive to do it. It's not easy. The things we're coming up with, the answers are not easy. And then what happens if it's like yesterday at the Chevron where the round is over 6 hours? And you got a network executive someplace that's rolling their eyes going, oh, my gosh.
Separate discussion, Matt.
Right?
That's a separate problem.
Where on a Sunday night on CBS, say, you've got one of their absolute gold mine programmings in 60 minutes, and what happens when things run long? Right? It's a whole other question.
I mean, yeah.
1 hour and 13 minutes.
The pace of play issue to me. I mean, as long as we're day drinking with Dom, which a lot of people seem to be talking about right now on the chat there. Yeah, it's iced tea. In fact, it's all gone. Or was it?
Dom, you're the only one questioning that right now. We all know.
So as long as apparently I'm over the line, I might as well stay over the line. And in my opinion, the answer to pace of play is black and white, and it's strict. It's not, oh, you penalize them. It has to be incredibly penalizing. Like, could you do something, Matt, where it's like, because the first few groups set the pace. So like if you're in the first 4 groups and you don't finish in under 5 hours, you're disqualified or something like that.
5 hours. Wow, yeah. Disqualified.
Under 5 hours.
There you go. Outside the lines thinking. Day drinking with Dom.
You're banned.
Network.
Or you could just be banned. That's another way to do it. If you don't finish in under 6 hours, you're banned from the tour.
the problem with what they do with any and all of this stuff is that if anytime anyone talks about fines related to slow play, when you start to actually hit people with strokes, that equates to a lot more money than the fines. You're going to get reaction from players if it comes down to, and the other thing, which they're starting to do, is you can't make it by group. You can't do this group association because now you're being unfair because it's usually one player. And now you're being unfair to the other player or players. Like they're somehow going to be putting peer pressure on that one slow player because a league, a tour, a tournament, what have you, doesn't have the intestinal fortitude to say, no, we know who the slow player is. We know exactly what's going on, and we're going to assess a penalty to that person. They won't do it. That's the issue. Another question, another story, another day, another discussion.